Ahí lo tiene Maradona, lo marcan dos. Pisa la pelota Maradona, arranca por la derecha el genio del fútbol mundial. Y es el tercero a tocar para Borruchaga, siempre Maradona. Genio, 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 Diego Armando Maradona. Gracias Dios por el fútbol, por Maradona.
Hi there, and thank you once again for tuning in to the FFS podcast. This is a special one-off tribute to celebrate the legacy of arguably one of, if not the greatest ever footballer to have ever played the sport, Diego Armando Maradona. Now, as you're all aware, I'm sure, last Wednesday the footballing world was sent into a state of shock upon hearing that Argentina's beloved son had passed away. Maradona undoubtedly left behind him a legacy that will remain etched in our memories and hearts forever. In a few short moments, you'll get to hear what he meant to some of our fans from across the world, the influence he's had on the younger generation, and the impact on the clubs they support. But before we get to that, let me tell you a bit about what I remember of the player. Unfortunately, by the time I began watching football, Maradona had long since been retired. And so the way I was introduced to Diego Maradona was through online videos on YouTube of his famous matches and goals. Like the Hand of God, the Goal of the Century, the Greece game, etc. And also, hearing stories of the player from those who were alive back in the day and watched him when he was active. And with each story and with each video, I saw why many were in awe of him. I realized why many players regarded him a league above the rest. But the first time I saw Maradona live, and I'm saying that with air quotes because I saw him on TV, was at the FIFA World Cup 2010 in South Africa when he was coaching the Argentinian national team. What struck me the most about the man was not his antics or his erratic behavior, but his pure love for the game. You could not help but smile every time the camera panned to him. And over time, I realized that this was one person about whom all the stories that were told were true, even the most ridiculous ones. And that's, I guess, what set him apart from the others. There was no need to exaggerate because everything that Maradona did was at either end of the spectrum. And I guess it was this larger than life personality, the generous man that everyone claimed that he was, is what I'll miss the most. I mean, his pure love for the game. I guess we saw that even in the recent World Cup in 2018. So yeah, I guess that's about it. So now let's move on to some of our fans, like I said, and we'll get to hear how much Maradona has probably meant to them in either footballing sense or to them in life in general.
Hi, this is son Mathew. I'm an 80s kid. Growing up, we used to love football. We used to play football everywhere, barefoot most of the time. And the love for football definitely came from the legends, the stories we've heard about two great players, Pele and Maradona. I myself, I'm a Brazil fan. I've been a Brazil fan for a long time, and amongst our friends, we had this rivalry. The fans of the Brazil football team, Pele, and fans of Argentina and Maradona, and the love for football and the love for these players were amazing. We had seen only a few clips on TV at that time, and just were mesmerized by his skill on the ball. He is, I think, one of the greatest dribblers we've ever seen, and we would try to mimic his dribbling style, mimic his juggling. style, and mimic, the shots which he played and tried to tackle, and fail almost all the time to tackle more than one or two people is max we could achieve at that, when we were kids. So he, has inspired, I think, the generations to play football. And the stories what we've heard, especially the hand of God goal. The stories were that nobody could see whose hand it was. It was really the hand of God. And when England says that Maradona cheated, we don't believe it. The reason is Maradona is so skillful to even use his hand to play that goal and make it look like that nobody could see it, right? The only way you could go back and look at it was on TV or on videos later on. And later, when YouTube started coming up, and the football uh, clippings on YouTube started coming up, and there has been so many times I've sat there looking at those clips and wondering, wow, what a player. Yeah, so he has inspired me to love the game. He's inspired so many of my friends, and I can imagine it's inspired so many people across the world. There are some countries which they don't even play football. When I was a kid, my dad used to take me to watch football in Bangalore. Some games like those days, HAL and Mohan Bagan and JCT and those sort of teams are playing. And I would love to go and watch that with my dad, and we would talk about Maradona. We would talk about all the great players, Pele. And later on, when his movie came up, to watch those, his story and be inspired again from where he had come, his poorest of poor backgrounds, and him as a kid falling into the cesspool. Can you imagine that somebody falls into a cesspool and gets out of it and becomes the greatest ever, and the whole world is revering and remembering him? I would just like to say one last thing. Rest in peace, um, Diego Maradona. Go play that game in heaven. Go show some skills and play with the other legends who are up there. It's going to be an amazing football match when probably it's already happened up in heaven. All right. Thank you very much for this opportunity, Pradyum.
Hi, this is Michael again, West Ham fan from Chennai, from Mizoram, based in Chennai. So, uh, about my about how Maradona has influenced me. It's I kept struggling how to put this in an easy, brief way of putting it, but then I guess the best way to put it would be Maradona is one of the few, if not the best player, who best exemplifies how football can both be an art as well as a sport, how it is beyond just an athletic competition, but also can involve so much uh, intangibles in it. Maradona was, for all of his flaws and all of his documented issues off the pitch and all of the things that he did as a person that were not that admirable, he always showed that that didn't have to define you, that you could take your talents and then erase everything, not everything, but then to show how good a person you could be in on the field as well. Things he did on the field were magic, and how he did them and with the people he did them with. It's he was a god for a reason for so many people, not just in Argentina but also in Italy and Naples, because he was able to be that mythical figure who could come and take a team that didn't seem like they could be champions but make them champions, not just because he was the fastest or the strongest or the best necessarily, but also by will, by his devotion to his to the game and to the aims that he was after, and how he was able to inspire his teammates onwards. I think that is something that is missing from a lot of footballers nowadays as well. And personally, that's also why I put Maradona above Messi in my personal good opinion. But that is, I know that's a highly debatable thing, but it is my personal good opinion. But I think, again, that to summarize, Maradona exemplifies everything that I personally love about football, and that makes me think this is why football is the greatest game in the world, because it's not just a sport, not just a sporting competition, but also a place where artists can truly shine.
The best memory I got about Diego was his last game against Greece, and I remember that I was a child and I was watching the World Cup games first time um, in that 1994, and the game star was Batshuta, but Diego scored that powerful, precise finish from outside the box to finish off an intricate passing move, and it was in the goal that that celebration also got down the street, and he ran towards the camera, eyes bulging, as he screamed in a state somewhere between joy and anger. You know, after all that, some controversy happened, and we don't get the chance to play this prestigious game. Although he got so much other qualities to score goals, to move forward, or even dribble past the toughest defenders he faced. But I think his instant decisions helped him to do so. That's made him a complete footballer.
Maradona for me represents a spirit that never backs down, never gives up. He took a very ordinary Napoli team to roaring heights, being consistently amazing through multiple seasons and mesmerizing fans and opponents alike. He's a legend in all sense of the word.
The world says goodbye to an eternal genius, one of the best ever, an unparalleled magician. He leaves too soon, but leaves a legacy without any limit and a void that will never be filled. Rest in peace, Ace. You will never be forgotten.